A gas station roof is the size of a basketball court. It is not there to keep you dry. That sounds wrong. You've stood under one in a drizzle and felt grateful for it. But think about the scale for a second. That flat steel roof over the pumps covers as much ground as a regulation basketball court, held up by a few slim columns, engineered, permitted, and bolted into a foundation that runs deep into the earth. Nobody builds something that big and that expensive to handle a little rain. A patio umbrella handles rain. This is a structure. So what is it actually for? Why is it always the same height, whether you're in Texas or Ohio? Why does a shell canopy look almost identical to a BP-1 1,000 miles away? And here's the strange part. Why did gas stations exist for 40 years with no canopy at all? The answer is that this roof is doing 5 separate jobs at the same time, and keeping you dry is the least interesting one of them. Here's what most people get wrong. They look at the canopy and see one thing doing one job: a big umbrella on stilts. Furniture. Just part of the place, obviously supposed to be there, not worth a second thought. It is not one thing. A gas station canopy is a single steel structure designed to manage weather, fuel vapor, lighting, vehicle clearance, and brand signage, all at once. 5 jobs, 1 frame. The misconception forms for a simple reason. Weather is the only job you can feel. You walk out in the rain, the roof helps. Your brain files it under shelter and stops thinking. The other 4 jobs are invisible. They run every single time you pull up, and you never notice them until one of them fails. So let's walk through them, one at a time, in the order the canopy actually does its work. Start with the job that surprises people most. Vapor. Gasoline evaporates, constantly. It is one of the most volatile liquids you will ever handle in everyday life. Every time a nozzle goes into a fuel tank, invisible vapor rises out of that opening. You can sometimes smell it. That faint, sharp gasoline scent at the pump is fuel turning into gas right in front of you, drifting up into the air. On a wide open lot with no roof, wind pushes that vapor wherever it wants, toward a hot engine, toward a person standing nearby, toward a static spark off a car door or a cell phone. The canopy changes that. It creates a controlled, sheltered layer of still air above the pumps. Look closely at the edges of that roof next time you fill up. There are deliberate gaps and open spaces built along the sides. They are not sloppy construction. They let the vapor drift up and out, slowly and gently, instead of pooling down at ground level where the cars and the people are. Think of the exhaust hood over a restaurant stove. It does not trap the smoke and seal it in. It steers it. It decides where the fumes go and moves them somewhere safe, up and away from the cook. That is the canopy. Half of it is a quiet ventilation system wearing a roof costume. And here is where it gets interesting, because that explains the gaps. It also explains the height. And the height is the part that flips everything. Most gas station canopies sit 14 to 16 feet off the ground. That number is a regulated minimum in most places. It is not a style choice. And here is the pattern interrupt. That height has almost nothing to do with you. Your sedan needs about 7 feet of clearance. The canopy gives you double that. Why pay for all that extra steel and all that extra height? Because the canopy is not built for your car. It is built for the one vehicle you never see. The fuel delivery tanker. That truck stands 13 to 14 feet tall, fully loaded. It has to physically fit under the canopy to pull up and refill the station's underground tanks. Sit with that for a second. A gas station whose own roof is too low to receive its own fuel delivery is a gas station that runs dry and shuts its doors. So the height is set by the tallest truck that needs to fit, not the average customer who pulls in for 12 gallons. Every canopy in the country is engineered around that single delivery. That is why they all look the same height. Montana, Florida, a highway exit in Kansas, it does not matter. They are all built to swallow the same tanker. Next job, lighting. Gas stations run 24 hours a day, every day of the year. And lighting an open outdoor area evenly at night is genuinely hard to do well. You need it bright enough for the security cameras to record a clear picture, bright enough to read a pump screen, bright enough to spot a fuel spill the second it starts spreading across the ground. The Canopy solves this almost by accident. The lights are mounted on its underside, pointing straight down. The flat roof above them acts like a low ceiling, catching and spreading the light evenly across the entire pump island below. It's the same trick as the drop ceiling in an office building, or the white reflector a photographer sets up behind a studio lamp. A flat surface close to the action smooths the light out instead of stabbing it down in hard, uneven shadows. Without the Canopy, you would need tall poles topped with powerful floodlights. They cost more to install and run, and they still leave dark patches between the poles and harsh glare directly under them. The Canopy lights the place better than the alternative would, and it does it just by existing. Then there's the job almost nobody talks about. Signage. Those colored panels running along the edge of the roof. The bold red and yellow of Shell, the green of BP, the blue of Chevron. In most cities and towns, those panels are legally classified as signs, governed by the same rules as a billboard. So the Canopy is not just shelter and safety. It is the billboard. It is the logo. It is the reason you can identify which station you are approaching from a quarter-mile down the road, long before you can read a single word of text on anything. The size of those panels, their color, their height, their exact placement, all of it is controlled by local sign permits. That is why a brand's Canopy looks nearly identical from one town to the next. It is not just company style. It is a legal sign permit dressed up as a roof. The Canopy is the single most expensive sign the station will ever own, and most customers never see it as a sign at all. For the first 40 years of the automobile, gas stations had no canopies, none at all. Canopies. You pulled up to a pump and an attendant in a uniform walked out to your car. He pumped the gas. He washed your windshield. He checked your oil and your tire pressure. He took your money and made change at the window. You never got out of the seat. You never stood in the rain. You never needed a roof because the entire service came to you. Attendant. Oregon and New Jersey still required attendants by law until very recently. Legal fossils from that original era, the last places in America where the old system held on. Attendants. Then, in 1947, a station in Los Angeles tried something radical. Self-service. No attendant. Lower prices. You pumped your own gas. Lines formed. People loved it. The idea spread fast, and by the 1960s and 70s, self-service was everywhere across the country. Self-service. But look at what that shift actually did. Suddenly the customer was standing outside, alone, holding a fuel nozzle, in whatever weather existed that day, in the dark, in the pouring rain, in the brutal summer heat. Customer. The attendant was gone, so someone had to protect that customer, light the area around them, and put the brand's name somewhere a passing driver could see it. Protect. One steel frame solved all of it at once. The Canopy did not arrive as a luxury or a decoration. It arrived as the bill that came due the exact moment the attendant walked away. Canopy. Today, self-service makes up over 90% of all fuel sales in America. Every one of those transactions happens under a roof that exists for one underlying reason. The attendant stopped showing up. 90%. And once you see that logic, you start seeing it everywhere. Everywhere. A drive-through restaurant canopy does the exact same 4 jobs. Weather cover for the window, height clearance for tall delivery vans and box trucks, lighting for the menu boards and the cameras, and brand colors on the panels. 4. Toll plazas on the highway have canopies that keep the attendant dry, light the payment lane, and clear the height of every truck on the road. Bank drive-thrus, the same. Parking garage ticket booths. Bus station drop-off zones. The little overhang above a convenience store door is a miniature version of the exact same idea, right down to the logo on the front. Canopies. Even the future kept it. At electric vehicle charging stations going up across the country, operators are building canopies with solar panels baked directly into the roof. Same structure, same logic, but now the roof generates the electricity that charges the car parked underneath it. Solar panels. They rebuilt the gas station from scratch for the electric age, and the canopy was the very first thing they kept. Canopy. Here's the honest part though. Canopies are not cheap, and they are not simple. A standard installation runs $80,000 to $200,000 before you add the electrical wiring, the lighting, and the sign permits. In dense cities where permits are complex and the foundations have to go deeper, that number climbs even higher. Canopy's $80,000. And that big flat roof has a serious weakness. In a high wind, it behaves like a sail, a roof that catches the storm instead of shedding it. Hurricanes have ripped canopies clean off their columns. That is why building codes in coastal states demand much heavier steel framing, engineered to hold against the load of a major gale. Hurricanes. Most canopies last 20 to 30 years before the steel begins to corrode, the colored panels fade, and the lighting falls behind. But the shift to LED lights and solar roofs is changing the math. A canopy that generates its own power can slowly recover its own cost over a decade. 20 to 30 years. So here's where you land. What you thought was a giant umbrella is actually a vapor manager, a regulated height marker, a lighting system, a legal billboard, and the permanent proof that the attendant never came back. 5 problems, 1 steel roof. Vapor 5. But the canopy is only the half of the gas station you can actually see. Everything that roof was built 14 feet tall to protect, all that fuel, is sitting in enormous steel tanks buried directly under the concrete you are parked on right now. And those tanks have to survive groundwater trying to float them up, soil trying to corrode them through, and vapor trying to escape them. How a station keeps tens of thousands of gallons of gasoline safely locked underground right beneath your tires is its own strange piece of engineering.